Yeah. Sushi's like, I don't know if you were gonna by the way, I don't know if you wanted to open up my chat like last time we were
Oh, I
talking.
did.
You did? Okay.
I did. I
Su-
see Sushi and
Su-
Usagi. Good morning.
Sushi just got here and he's like, oh, I gotta go. We're not
So
because of
I
your
just
kid.
wanted
Oh, taxi
to I wanted
spoilers, dude.
to run the numbers.
Good morning.
Like that's the first thing I wanted to run
Sure,
right before we talk about it.
hit me with the
So
numbers. While I munch on some, I'm gonna shut.
first episode that we watched, like
Yeah.
first episode that we did for spring anime season,
Mm-hmm.
there were only 5,000 members
Right.
of MAL that were
I remember
actually
that.
following this.
Yeah.
Uh, I expected it to actually go higher than this, but we
And
did go 11 times
11
since.
times, nice. It's
So
good.
that's a good start. Okay,
Yeah.
I expected to see 100,000 by now, but I mean,
We still
I'm
have
still happy.
we
It
have a
gets
couple
good ranks.
weeks. We have a couple weeks left. We'll
Yeah.
see. We'll see what happens. Also, I'm gonna show chat my little sandwich that I'm making. Wait, hold on. I have to. There we go. Tiny little sandwich. Okay, there.
Oh damn.
That's all I had to do. Also, I think I need to fix my green screen just a tad. So the numbers have gone up quite a bit. That's great.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good. People are shilling. People know the truth about
People are
Taxi,
chilling.
and they're
People are
spreading it.
chilling. I'm down.
Sushi, you should definitely watch Odd Taxi before you get spoiled.
I wonder if Sushi has us on mute right now because he's like, I gotta
I
vacate.
hope so, because it's gonna get very shady very soon.
Yeah,
Okay, hit me up.
Yeah, so I do want to talk about Odd Taxi. I remember last time that we did the podcast,
What's that?
last time we did the podcast, and when we were talking about Odd Taxi, I was saying that, you know, the alpaca girl, I wasn't really sure like what her deal was, but in the 2 episodes since then, we know the whole story with her now, right? So
Yeah, basically we know like her connection to Dabu, why the money was like a problem,
yeah,
and why was she working with him, and she's out now as well.
she's out because Odokawa saved her basically.
Yeah, he bailed her, even though
So
he doesn't probably want anything to do with her. It seems like he kind of wants to like distance himself regardless.
I think so. He wanted to distance himself because he felt that something was wrong, and he had the right guess about that. But I think that he still has feelings for her because in the last episode that came out on Monday, he was talking about how he still wanted to help her in a way.
That is true.
Yeah. So I don't think that he's like trying to get re-involved with her because like there was this one part of last episode where he was like looking at his text messages with her, and she had sent him like a bunch of messages. So he's still thinking about her, obviously. But as far as like, you know, them being super close, I don't know if that's gonna happen in the next 2 episodes. I don't think that that's like a really big plot point.
You know what? It could be that he just like right now considers his situation to be like dangerous or like not good for her to be involved in, and that he just doesn't want to be involved with her because of that.
That's a real good point. Yeah. I hadn't thought about that actually until just now.
I like that she came clean to. I forget the name of the doctor, the gorilla doctor.
Yeah, she said that she was gonna do that, but the fact that she followed through, I really like that.
Yeah, that was like the thing I appreciated, because they were talking about her coming clean, which was like a cool small, like it was like a tiny scene, but it was like nice to see.
No, for sure. I appreciated it a lot.
So 2 episodes ago, we saw like the attack of like the masked skull. Okay, that's true.
Yeah.
So we kind of know how he's going about this. It seems like he also went to his house, right?
Yeah.
Urokawa's house. And we think he like, do we think he had something to do with the girl in the house
Oh,
that we think is in the house?
you know something about that? There was something big that happened following up on that because he called the little brother, like the policeman,
Yeah,
over to
the
his
good
house,
brother.
the good one, right? And so that was real interesting because from the beginning, that when we had seen this dynamic between good cop, bad cop,
Mm-hmm.
I was wondering if he was ever going to leverage the little brother to do something, and then he finally did. So, you know, Otokawa is obviously a very smart guy. So
Mm-hmm.
he did exactly what I was hoping for him to do. Just like, but you know what? He waited for the right moment because he needed some kind of evidence to get the little brother on his side, and that bullet that went through his window was the timing that he needed, the thing that he needed.
Yeah. There was this like tense scene where the little brother was supposed to go into the room to see if there's like anyone there,
Yeah,
and Otokawa, like the thing is, like he looked like he was stressed about it, right?
I
In a sense, like he was
I don't know.
actually he looked like he was pretending not to be. Is kind
There's
of how I want to describe it.
they're still teasing us about what's behind that door
Yeah, and
because
it's almost season over.
oh gosh, I want to know so bad what's the deal because like we've been kind of assuming that she's there, but we don't know 100% if she's there. And the fact that he said go ahead, look in the room, like search my apartment, I now I'm kind of now I'm confused because I was 100% behind the idea that she was in there, and now I just don't know, you know? Because like why would he be so confident to let the police guy search his apartment if she was actually there, right? So I
The
don't
thing
know.
is, like, you know these like sure, go ahead, do what you want kind of scenes where
Yeah.
people like there is this kind of it's not a trope, but it's kind of
I
like
think
a
it
convention
I feel like it
where
is kind of a
people kind
trope.
of like lean. No, there's like a convention where people lean on like something to seem not guilty, right? They just to seem comfortable,
Mm-hmm.
basically. And it seems like he was doing it there, which made me think she's actually there and he's hoping he wouldn't find her. But then, like, we didn't get to see, of course, because it all got interrupted. Which I can't tell if he was hoping for, planning for, or
No
not.
way. No, I
Which
don't
is
think
just like,
I think it's too ballsy, right? Like
right?
I don't think that he planned for that. I think it just happened.
Um, oh yeah, I mean like hoped for that. For something to interrupt or for something to happen or for him to say, "Oh, never mind. Actually, it's fine."
I don't.
Um,
So it's a possibility, but I don't see Otokawa as the kind of guy that would leave something like that to chance. I don't know, just me personally, right?
okay.
Um, that was a really tense scene. I was like,
Yeah.
I was. It's like you know what that reminded me of. That reminded me of the build up to us like getting to the basement in Attack on Titan, which
Oh my God.
we still really haven't like fully understood what the heck is the deal with the basement. So that's what I was thinking about. And
Um,
hopefully it doesn't take 5 seasons, but you know, or 6 seasons or
yeah,
however
I
many
mean, I feel
seasons.
like they're really good at building this tension, and
Yeah.
the thing that's amazing about it is how they set up the tension in different episodes, then they
Hmm.
come back to it, they build it up in like in a moment,
Yeah.
like the idea, and then they just kind of like let it unfold and then go to something else.
Yeah, definitely. Um,
Um, Same thing happened with well, what's the name of the monkey? Wait, uh,
Monkey.
Kakiha,
I know who you're talking
Kakihana.
about.
AG.
Yeah.
So like in episode 4, I think it was, or no, not 4, episode 3,
Mm-hmm.
where he set up the date with the girl.
Shiho. Yeah.
Yeah, and at the end of the episode, like they met at the bus stop, and they were leaving. And there was like
Uh-huh.
tiny like couple frames where they showed like her manager following them,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. So that's relevant in the last
and then
episode.
yeah, and they just left it, and that was kind of like that was kind of eerie, but they didn't touch on it anymore.
Right.
And then they come back to it now when it's time to collect, and we
Mm-hmm.
learned that she's actually tricking people for money. Is that like, did I get that right?
I think so, but I don't think that she's fully. I don't think the girl is fully aware of how deep it is. So, um,
Yeah, she just like kind of
Yeah.
like fishes for guys.
She fishes. She's kind of sort of the catfish, not really because she is who she is, but. So the thing is that even I was tricked in a way because I knew that the manager was involved since the last episode, right?
Hmm.
But I didn't understand. I also didn't know how deep it was until this episode that came out, and then Yano was involved, and then that's when we finally saw Yano for the first time.
Yeah, and that's the last character,
That's the last.
actually.
I think that's the last character.
Down at the bottom.
You know what's crazy
Um,
is that when they ran into Yano, like on the street or something, I just thought that he was like a really quirky character that was like, gonna be a
Definitely.
super minor character. But then it's like, wait a minute, this is like the rival dude. So it ended up being like insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, it ended up being kind of crazy. Like I wasn't expecting that at all. And then at the end, he's like putting on his when he put on the gloves, even before he went to the warehouse, I was like, oh man, this guy means business is over. you know. what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
I was wondering, what do you think about the rap part?
I thought
I
it
had
was
like a very specific take on it, but
really. I don't like. I didn't mind it. I just thought it was quirky. Like, but the thing is that like all the characters in Odd Taxi are kind of quirky in some way.
yeah,
So,
that's true.
so yeah, I didn't really have like any big thoughts on it. I don't know. What do you think?
I don't know. It kind of bothered me at some point. I don't know if like I know there are like some really really good. I'm big like fan of rap,
Mm-hmm.
and there are some Japanese raps that land insanely well and are really impressive.
Okay.
And then it seems like when it's a bit off, it just really distracts me. Like I had to watch
Sure.
that scene twice because
Okay.
I kind of lost it there in the middle.
Okay. I can see that.
I don't know. There's something about it that like rubbed me like this is really distracting me from the fact this is like the Yano they built so far.
You, I don't
Um,
know if that was
and I
on
mean every
purpose or
character
not.
was quirky, but it felt like a bit more so than anybody else. Like the most
Sure.
quirky thing I think we saw so far was the capoeira moment, which was really small.
Mm-hmm.
Um, which was also very funny, of course. Even if it was true.
Okay.
Everything else in terms of quirkiness was like relatively like smooth, I think. And that was kind of like it kind of weirded me for a moment.
Yeah. I can see how that could be distracting. I don't know if they like were going for that intentionally or not. But yeah, I could see that.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
and what I was wondering, what do you think about the I don't know his name. You remember the first passenger, of course.
Yeah,
The kid who wanted to go viral.
the hippo dude.
Yeah.
I don't remember his
What do you
name
think?
either.
What do you think about his development?
I think that
Like,
he's kind of minor, but what's important about his character is that it's making Dobu and Odokawa work together. He's the reason why they're working together, right? Because they want to stop that kid from finding Dobu basically by like finding him first. Um, and then what else were they working on? They were also trying to work together to get the Skull Kid, too, because
hmm
they need to get the gun back.
yeah, to prove like
Uh,
Dobu's like innocence.
yeah.
So I thought something about like the hippo kid that
Mm-hmm.
I thought was really nice is I feel like they really demonstrated well like something like that's very like generationally true right now,
Okay.
like the idea of like chasing like going viral, and then like how it affects your personality and like if you remember
Mm.
like if you contrast it to like how like insecure he was, how like uh
Yeah.
like how much he cared what people thought about what he does,
Mm-hmm.
he like the moment after he goes viral and how it affects what he does. I feel
Yeah.
like I feel like they demonstrate it really well. It's not like a big character. It's not like he's important, but I feel like he does that specific thing very well.
Yeah.
Which I
Yeah.
thought was
Yeah.
really cool. They managed to like bring it up, even if it's not like the subject they're dealing with.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really cool.
Mm. Yeah, I hadn't thought about that. I mean, I did really like the way that his character was presented in the second episode.
First one,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, first episode. So I mean, I'm glad that he stayed relevant all the way up to now. So I don't know exactly what they're gonna do with this character, because like he got away, right? They were chasing him and he just vanished. So
Yeah, I have no
yeah.
idea what's gonna happen with him next, if he's gonna reappear or not. I think he will, but I don't know how long.
There's a couple more like plot threads that I don't know how they're gonna resolve everything in two episodes. Now, what episode are we on actually? It says 13
8, I
episodes.
think.
8. So we still have 5 episodes to
We
go.
have
Really?
6
9,
actually,
10, 11, 12.
right? Oh, no,
13.
no.
We have 5 episodes
5.
to go. Okay. So
I can't do math.
yeah, you know what? I
Um,
think 5 episodes is actually enough time to wrap up all of the different plot threads that we've got
The
going
way I
on.
want to think about it is considering the amount of like plot they managed to arrange well in the first 5 episodes, I think they can do it. Because they did
They can do it.
like except for the 4th episode, which was
Yeah.
like the one guy, like building
Yeah.
up the one guy.
Mm-hmm.
Every episode is pretty loaded. Like they're doing a lot of
Yes.
things. A lot of things are progressing in different directions.
Yeah.
I think they can do it. I think they can pull it off.
Totally. That's exactly what I was going to say actually, is that one episode was very slow, but all the other episodes have been packed with stuff happening.
Hmm.
So, um,
I really hope this is
they can
a
do it.
holistic story that
Yeah.
is like that's going to finish.
In
Um,
like one season, you mean?
like I don't mind if that's like an ending that could be continued. I
Okay.
just want like the story itself to kind of have a conclusion. So like I want the plot lines to be closed
I think that
for
they
the most
will.
part.
You know something? I don't know if we had actually talked about this at the beginning of this season or not, but I've just now noticed that this is original. Like I didn't know that before.
Oh yeah, that's what we like.
I think that I don't know.
That's why
Well,
I brought up in like the beginning of the season that we have a lot of original, interesting like shows because Vivi is also an original and
Yeah.
Megalobox also an original.
E-
So we got a lot of like leading originals this season.
Yeah, so I think that I don't know if we talked about this one being an original. I remember we talked about the other two. So, well, maybe I forgot. I don't know. But either way, it's yeah. I think that because it's an original, that we can be pretty confident that they're gonna wrap it up in 5 episodes. So
Yeah, I'm like again, I think they can do it. They demonstrated they can do it, and
Yeah.
I'm hopeful that they will do it.
Same. Cool. So let's see what else. I'm down to like move on to the next thing.
Go
What
ahead.
What else do we got? I don't know if there's anything in particular that I guess we could talk about. I don't really have anything to say about Boku no Hero, by the way, just because it's playing out the way that we guessed it was going to play out last time.
Which is like we know what's happening here.
Yeah.
It's fine.
It's fine. I mean, it's not too exciting. It's just like, they're doing the Class A versus Class B thing. It's just whatever.
Yep.
Okay. So I don't really have anything to say about that. Fumetsu.
No, I guess they like
yeah.
they talked about like Shoto's past, I guess, a bit more. But to be honest, Shoto
Yeah.
is not like from my favorite characters, so I wasn't super interested.
Same.
And it was nice to get a bit more depth into it, but
Yeah.
he's not like the character I was waiting for to see here, so it's like fine.
For sure. And you know something, like I almost want to say that he's a minor character because he just isn't very relevant. And he doesn't do a lot of stuff. He doesn't do much. So
Yeah, I feel like if I look at like the class A, like then obviously like Deku, you got Bakugo, and then like I feel like Lita and Uraraka are gonna be more important than
later,
Shoto.
I think they're gonna be
yeah.
more important later, just because their relationship with Deku is closer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, like I feel like Lita actually gone through like a meaningful arc, or like I mean both of them went through meaningful arcs, but I feel like Lita's arc is more interesting and more meaningful, and Uraraka didn't go for enough, so she will be more relevant probably.
We really haven't seen that much of Uraraka, but the thing is that
Sadly.
because she is the love interest, and she's gonna be relevant throughout the entire thing.
Yeah, I think so.
Which is fine. So I mean, her power is pretty cool. I'm sure that they're gonna come up with something.
I I'm actually like I think she has one of the most like the coolest powers.
Yeah,
And she already
her power is
demonstrates
great.
some interesting ways to use it.
Yeah, for sure. Like I would love to see her take her power to the next level. I don't know what that even means, but like it'd be awesome if she could.
I'm wondering if she could like do something. Did you watch Soul Eater by any chance?
So, I don't think I watched it. It sounds very familiar. I don't think I watched it though.
It used to be pretty popular, but it fell from like popularity like 2 or 3
Okay,
years after it came out. Like I
gotcha.
think it was like pretty big in the beginning, but it doesn't matter. There's like a character there, just like an
Okay,
evil character,
yeah.
and she kind of uses vectors as part of her power,
Ooh,
changing like uh
that's cool.
yeah, it was really interesting, like the way she used it, and
Yeah.
Uraraka kind of used it similarly in the tournament fight
Mm-hmm.
at some parts. So if she could make that and kind of elaborate on that area of the power, I feel like that would be super cool. But who knows, right?
I just like I feel like there are so many different ways that you can apply her power that we haven't.
Yeah, 'cause it's like
It hasn't
gravity,
been.
right?
Yeah, it's gravity. Like we haven't really explored. Well, it's not. It's like anti-gravity, right? I want to see a rainbow barf after an insane upgrade. That'd be awesome, Slayer. Well, the insane upgrade would be awesome. I don't know. She gets sick
Rainbow
after.
barf
Yeah,
could be
tradition.
interesting.
That's traditional. You know. Yeah.
Okay, you wanted to move to Fumetsu?
Yeah, we could talk about Fumetsu. I don't really have anything to say about Nagatoro. Like I did watch the latest episodes, but it's more of the same. They
Okay.
just they get closer. You know, they're better
I mean,
friends.
the moment you tell me it's not more of the same, I'll consider picking it up.
I don't I don't think it's ever gonna be not more of the same. It's just, you know, Nagatoro picking on the dude and then they're just better friends, their relationship, their romance is like progressing or whatever. I don't know. It's just more the same.
Yeah,
It's fine. Like I'm enjoying it just cuz like I don't know. Well, I don't
yeah, I
I
think
guess I could say I'm
that's
enjoying
great.
it. But anyway, Fumetsu, right? So Fumetsu oh, I gotta put spoiler tag up for Fumetsu because something major does happen
Yeah,
in the last
Fumetsu.
spoilers for
Oh, damn.
Fumetsu no Anata.
I was
Okay,
swinging and I wasn't sure what was gonna happen. Tell me. Oh, I'll just look see when your spoiler tag is up.
it's up, it's up.
There it is.
Fumetsu, if I can spell right.
So the first time we reviewed this,
Mm-hmm.
we were talking about how you can't really know what's gonna happen to every character. We don't know who stay, who go. Um,
Yes,
and
but
and we were on to that in the beginning, right?
we were so I remember that when we discussed that very thing, I brought
Mm-hmm.
up the correlation between this show and Game of Thrones, where it's just like you have no idea who's gonna die.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's basically what happened. Like what, 2 episodes ago now, March died. So, I actually thought that Perona was gonna be the one that was gonna die. So that caught me off guard a little bit. I didn't see I saw a death coming because when they were talking about escaping from the village or the town,
Mm-hmm.
I had those like death flags going off. I was like, somebody's gonna die. I don't know who. But yeah, I wasn't expecting it to be March, so that sucked. But you know,
Yeah, the thing is like it's not that I didn't think it will be March. It's that I
mhm.
really didn't want it to be March.
Yeah, I feel you.
I felt like it kind of hurt in some sense. Like
It
if the
did.
first episode, like I felt it was like, okay, I get this is very sad, but I'm not feeling it. This one
Yeah.
was like, this hit me. That was like, wow, damn,
Yes,
that felt really bad.
I
Because
do
there was no way
agree.
she was gonna make it. Really, she was like, she's just a kid. She can't really struggle with them. Like
Yeah,
Corona is like a fighter. The old lady was like just in the front. She wasn't like in major danger. And I mean, he's immortal.
he's a more. Yeah, I do agree that I guess. Well, I didn't want her to die either, but um, shoot, what was I gonna say?
Mm,
Don't remember what the heck I was gonna say. I had something, but well, whatever. It's fine. Uh,
so first of all, for me, like the way she died,
Mm-hmm.
Spoiler, um, is something that in one sense, like I should expect of her. That like it fits like the ideals she was searching for. On
Mm-hmm.
the other side, I really didn't see that coming. Her doing like the sacrifice
Which is
act
like a
because I
trope.
thought that would be Corona.
Yeah, that's a trope in
Um,
and of itself. But I think that they kind of reverse it a little bit on us just by making it
mhm.
the kid instead of making it the adult.
Yeah,
So that was,
which is
I
so
like
so
that.
surprising
It was
here.
surprising. It was surprising in a interesting way. So, well, in a sad way, but
And I really liked how Perona and not Fushi were the ones that flipped there. Um, like
mm-hmm.
everything about it was really clean. I thought again, like I had so many wrong guesses about this one.
Mm-hmm.
I thought Perona is gonna continue with Fushi, but she actually separated. She went back to the village.
Yeah,
They got the lady,
same.
which was great. I'm glad she died. Um,
I don't know about
I'm
that.
like I feel like
Oh, I know. I
she was.
sorry. I was confused about which lady you meant, and now I
Oh,
know.
Yanome, I think.
Yeah, yeah,
The
yeah, yeah,
Yanome lady.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, now I know exactly. Yeah, I know who you mean.
I'm so glad they didn't like leave it in the air. I felt really bad with her just being around.
She needed
Uh,
to. She was like a bad person. I think. Like at first, you know what?
she was like a fanatic, but she was a fanatic for power. Um,
Yeah. The thing is that like at first, I wasn't sure if she was just following tradition, which doesn't make anybody like a bad person necessarily.
mhm.
And then after she was like, okay, we're gonna spare your lives, we're gonna take you back, we're gonna treat you good. And then I was like, okay, maybe she's a good person. And then like they were locked in jail, and then I was like, is she good or is she bad? I couldn't tell. And then finally when she was like attacking them and just shot March, whether it was on accident or otherwise, I was like, okay, like this character needs to die.
Like the thing is like that after we have all the information about this character, we can
hmm
tell why she does what she does.
Yeah, definitely.
So now we can tell that everything she did was like in order to accumulate as much power as she can and to like
hmm
we know that like originally
Yeah,
she didn't know about like the if the tradition is real or not, so that's not her motivation. And
yeah,
like we slowly get more and more info about her that lets us conclude like what kind of person she is.
yeah.
And I thought she was a really cool character, like in a design kind of idea.
Mm,
Like I enjoyed her as a character, but I'm
mm,
really glad she's dead in this
same.
world and that she doesn't exist
Yeah,
anymore.
she was a big
And
thorn in everybody's side. Yeah,
and then we got like the last episode
which is
where
very
Fushi actually
interesting.
spent time with the old lady,
Yeah,
which was I, I didn't think about that at all. Like I didn't think he would find her, and I liked how they kind of switched like roles that where he took like the March
exactly.
role of like trying to educate her about manners, and
Yeah,
she kind of took like a mutual approach where she wanted to teach him writing. She was like very kind there.
yeah.
So she's like an interesting character. She was like really nice.
I think that she's one of the so even though her screen time has been really small, I think
Mhm.
that because she basically only had this last episode where she was like involved in Fushi's progression, but it was in such a big way because she took the little bit of language that he knew, because all he could say was thank you up to that point, and she evolved his language, and now he knows how to speak in small sentences, and that's huge, right? So
But
um
more than he knows how to speak, he knows like he understands
yes,
what is spoken to him.
yeah,
So he can get that like he's being talked to and what is the general question because like
yeah,
he can react like consciously
right,
to
right, right,
things,
right, right, right.
which was
So
super cool.
that was very interesting, because like I think that we constantly have to remind ourselves, or at least I do, I have to remind myself that this was an empty spirit, like an empty soul, you
Hmm.
know, and he had to learn all these things from scratch. So it was like interesting. But two other things happened in this episode that were really cool.
Something very big even.
Yeah, exactly. He had that fight with the monster, which we can talk about in a second, and then he basically had like a face-to-face meeting with his creator, and that was interesting. So, um, but this raises some big questions, right? Because like, you know, the fact that the the creator of Fushi is also the narrator, right? And
Yeah.
right before the fight happened, the narrator was like, this being has come into my garden, you know, like, and
Yeah.
the
So
the
he's
way
the
that he talked
creator
about
of Earth, supposedly,
something like
or
that,
like
right?
this Earth.
Yeah,
Um, and that's like a being that somebody else made.
exactly.
Like it's not connected to him.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
I
Very
think you
interesting.
brought it up like originally that there may be multiple creators or multiple
Mm-hmm.
like gods or spirits.
Mm-hmm,
I
mm-hmm.
think you brought it up, right?
I don't know if I brought it up or
Uh,
not, but
I just remember in the first episode we had about it, you
yeah,
were talking about it, kind of that we don't know if this is like God or if there are
right.
like multiple beings like that that
That's true.
create things.
That's true.
Um,
I did point out
so
that
it seems
that.
you
Mhm, mhm.
So it seems like you were kind of right about that, and
Yeah.
we even got the objective. So
Hmm.
he was made to protect this world.
So
Um,
yeah, so now we have more of an understanding of what's going on here because like Fushi, I think Fushi's goal is to absorb all the knowledge that he possibly can, which is how, you know, they intend to preserve the world. Um, so like I still don't have like a complete understanding of how that works really, because like let's say that the, you know, civilization or whatever, or all the creatures on the planet die, then how does Fushi's life help to restore that, right? If they're just trying to preserve everything, I don't actually know.
but it seems he can also fight to protect it.
Yes, he can
'Cause he's
fight.
like gaining like knowledge to communicate with humans, but he can
Hmm.
also like become stronger from it.
Yeah,
Because
definitely.
we saw him fighting using
Mul-
March's form as
yeah,
well.
yeah, that was interesting. Hmm.
Because like he learned climbing from her. Like I'll
He
do an
did.
air quotes.
Yeah, and well, she is really small and really fast.
Hmm.
So, the thing is that he was actually forced to use all the forms that he had acquired in that fight that he had with the monsters, which was really cool because, um, I I was actually wondering how he was going to defeat the monster because it was very obvious that it was like not a natural thing, like not a natural part of the world, like some other creator had put it there. And so my initial impression was that maybe it was immortal. How do two immortals kill each other? You know, that was a big question to me. So once we found out that there was like that root that would
Yeah, the core thing.
that would like stick itself into Fushi and suck out one of his forms, you know, that
Hmm.
was that was really interesting because then I was like, okay, this is how Fushi can die, right? If all of his forms are sucked out, then he's just his core, right? And then I'm assuming
I'm
that
wondering if. Hmm?
I was just gonna say like
Yeah.
if he's just his core, he's probably just as vulnerable as the monster that he was fighting when he ripped the core out, you know?
Oh yeah. So I was wondering if
Mm-hmm.
in the future, in case he encounters more of these like other beings,
Mm-hmm.
are they all going to be like adept at stealing, or are they gonna make different kinds of beings who are adept at other things? Right. The description I think was adept at stealing,
Yeah.
which was interesting.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm wondering if he'll face similar type of beings, or will there be different types? And
Well,
also,
mm-hmm.
hmm?
I was just gonna
Also,
say,
I was
yeah. Sorry. You
yeah.
finish your thought, and I'll have
Oh,
mine.
sorry. Um, in case like in case Fushi loses all of his forms,
Mm-hmm.
does that mean he just dies, or does he become like the plant seed that we saw in the first episode and just waits to get another form?
Yeah, that's a good
I'm
question.
wondering if he's like vulnerable, or if he's still immortal technically and just waiting for a new form.
I think he's vulnerable when he's in that orb shape or whatever, the one that doesn't have any forms. So I think that that's how he can die. Because it doesn't. I mean, like him being immortal is interesting, but now that we know he has enemies, he needs to have some kind of a vulnerability. Otherwise, you know, he's overpowered, right? So
Yeah.
I think that that was one of the reasons why this fight even existed at all, was to establish that Fushi can die because he has
Okay.
his forms sucked out of him, and the question that was not answered was what happens is if Fushi loses all his forms, right? So um this also raises another important point, is that the next enemy that comes along is going to have to be stronger than the first one, and the first one already seemed pretty strong. So you know, like, both Fushi and his enemies are going to be leveling up as the show goes on, and I don't know what exactly that means for both of them, right? Because like, I thought that this first boss or whatever was just like stupid strong, and somehow he managed to defeat him. But you know,
I feel like there was another element
mm-hmm.
to it that made it seem stronger, which is kind of something the narrator or the creator did. Um,
Yes,
Fushi didn't have the idea of what is an enemy yet,
yeah,
um, which is kind of like, it's interesting the way they established it.
mm-hmm.
Something about the establishment made me think maybe he wanted him to have an enemy. But on the other side, he did say somebody came to play in my garden, which makes us kind of
Yes,
know that it's not him
it's
putting
not.
it there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I
Um,
thought that that was interesting too. So you know, this reminded me a little bit of Terry Pratchett's Discworld, because in that, so if you're not familiar with those books,
I'm actually familiar. I read them
yeah,
in Hebrew, but yeah.
yeah, so like, you know, the gods of Discworld play with the lives of the humans that live on it, right?
Hmm.
Like, and that's what this reminded me of. You know, like, I don't actually know the, like, there's the preservation goal that the creator has, but we don't know what exactly that really means. Like, why can't, I mean, if he's so powerful, why can't he just preserve everything himself? It just seems like he's kind of like just entertaining himself, especially the way that he intervened in the fight, but he didn't really do anything. So it just reminded me of that. It might just be like two mortals just, you know, having fun. Right, who knows?
Yep.
Or two gods trying to duke it out against each other, I don't know.
It's definitely interesting,
Yeah,
and
there are
yeah,
other stories that are similar to that,
I'm wondering what's gonna continue on with the old lady as well.
for sure.
Um,
I mean, I feel like she's probably going to die as well, but we just don't know like
I hope
how
not.
or when. I mean,
I
here's the unfortunate truth about Fushi's power, is that he has only ever acquired a new form whenever
when someone dies.
someone or something has died. So, you know, it's almost like a curse, right? Because now he's traveling with the old lady, and it, you know, it kind of puts a target on her back because, you know,
Like in our eyes.
yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, I get what you mean, because it seems like if he can only grow
Mm-hmm.
from some things death,
Yeah. Well,
then that's true.
so
In my
that's
eyes,
not accurate. That's not accurate though. He can only take a new form from someone's death, but he's growing
yeah,
already without anybody
yeah, he's
dying.
growing regardless. Yeah,
Yeah.
true. The thing is, like, the two reasons actually
Mm-hmm.
why I hope to see and I think that she will not die is that
Mm-hmm.
her form specifically I don't think will be useful.
Okay.
Um,
Well, who knows?
and the
But
other,
yeah.
I mean, we can't know for certain, but that's
Mm-hmm.
like one of the reasons.
Sure.
And the second one is, um, I feel like so I it may or may not be correct.
Okay.
But the way it was phrased is that from experiencing loss, like the evolution like spurs, right? I
Mm-hmm.
think that was the original phrasing. So loss
Mm-hmm.
doesn't necessarily mean death. He could like they could part ways and um he would still
I see.
be like growing from it.
Yeah, that's
So
true. Oh well, actually, actually, the one of the words that they've used several times is stimulation, right? So
Oh, true, true, true.
so we don't know exactly what that means, and a lot of the times it's been death, but it doesn't necessarily have to be. Like maybe something else. I don't know. So it's just kind of up in the air. Like we don't fully understand how this magic works, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So, but I mean, I'm liking the show. I just want to see what else we got for Fushi. How many episodes is this, by the way?
20.
20. Kind of an odd number of episodes.
Yeah,
Okay.
it is pretty weird.
So you want to talk about Vivi?
Vivi is great. They're still in the same arc with Ophelia.
Oh, give me one
You're
second.
caught up, right?
Yeah, I'm caught up, but give me 1 second to put the spoiler
Oh,
tag on. Spoilers for Vivi. And then... wait.
spoilers for BB. Um, okay. I'm like
Yeah, go.
safe.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So, I have like a long history with. I feel like now is the time to maybe say that.
Okay.
There are a lot of shows that incorporate like robots and kind of like or AIs
Sure.
and like questioning like morality and the idea of actual artificial intelligence or like can something be like gain consciousness?
Sure.
Like you see that in Ghost in the Shell and other like sci-fi shows,
The
which I
Matrix.
personally really love. Yeah, you see it in the Matrix too. And that concept is something that I just love. I love it
Same.
being explored.
Yeah.
And I like the specifically like the one with suicide or sacrifice
Yeah.
of an AI or a robot. Can that be like rationalized? Can that be explained? Is that something that we can like see and connect to and like feel for?
Yeah.
Like us as watchers. I feel like that's a really interesting subject because
For sure.
even though there's like the ingrained idea that like I mean it's a robot, you can make another one, you can fix it, you can do a lot of things. If we get to the point where we feel for an AI or where an AI's experience is relatable to us, like the implications of it are like very interesting. So I really like the current arc with Ophelia,
Yeah.
and till the like last moment of the last episode,
Yeah. Oh my
um,
god, what a freaking plot twist,
it was
dude.
it was like all going well and everything was like okay, I'm
Yeah.
like really thinking this is really interesting, but
Yeah.
I'm not like and then there was like the but I'm not really getting it. Then what's happening here? And then like the big bang in the end,
They got me.
uh I was like I was beyond fooled. I was like what just happened to
Yeah.
me?
So, yeah. You know what? So do you remember the Sun Hotel episodes?
Yeah.
I thought it was gonna be another one of those, which was naive of me to think that way, where they framed the AI with the like sister or something, and she like wore a wig or I don't know. But anyways, I thought it was gonna be another one of those, but they really got me good. So, um,
Yeah, it seems like the thing that I like about it is that if in the first episode,
yeah,
like we dealt with Vivi herself, kind of like figuring herself out and like the politics around it. Afterwards, we had like the AI that is being framed as actually innocent with an AI that's like supportive of the other cause.
yeah,
And then we had like the hospital, which is an AI like running like kind of amok there and kind of like in consideration to a new plan or like a new objective. Um, like it seems like every time they're exploring kind of like a different idea, and here's like an idea of kind of revenge in a sense.
yeah.
I don't know.
So
I just really like it
I
how
thought
they
I
jump from like these subjects.
yeah I thought that the hospital AI, the nurse AI, was very interesting, because that is where human and AI relationships started, as far as we know, right? Because it eventually led to them getting married, right?
Yeah.
So then, you know what's interesting about Vivi and the AIs that that exist in the show is that you really, if it wasn't for that like flashing thing on their neck, you wouldn't know the difference between an AI and a human. Like
Yeah,
they're just
especially like in anime where they smooth them all out. But like,
yeah. So it's that exactly. Like there's no difference other than that thing that they have on their neck, and so it's like kind of easy in a way to understand why a human would fall in love with an AI and why they would get married. And the thing is that like even the AIs themselves talk like they're humans. Like the nurse AI, because it was her mission to take care of people, then she was like, yeah, I'd love to get married with you because like I just want to understand people more. And you know what I mean? Like it's just
that's like a very human thing.
it's a very human thing. So it was crazy. And so I do like stories that kind of investigate how robots and AI is able to evolve. So you know, The Matrix is like one of my favorite
Yeah.
movies of all time. The Animatrix is really great too. Have you seen the Animatrix, by the way? So
What? Sorry?
the Animatrix. Have you seen the Animatrix?
No, I
So
don't think so.
so the Animatrix is a collection of short films which bridge the gap between the second Matrix movie and the third Matrix movie.
Okay.
So now, you know, some people kind of hate on the Matrix 2 and 3, but the Animatrix is amazing. It's really, really great because, like I said, it's a collection of short films and they're all so good. So definitely worth your time to check it out. But what the Animatrix does, and the reason why I'm bringing it up and why it's relevant, is because they're
Huh?
all animated short films. So
Oh, that's interesting.
yeah,
Oh, I guess
which is
Animatrix.
yeah,
Okay, get it.
which is why they call it the Animatrix, right? Is everything is animated, and so well, so it's even more relevant to this discussion because like a lot of the themes that they explore in the Animatrix are directly correlated to what we're seeing that's happening in Vivi. They explore things like AI rights, you know, AI evolution, and you know these things that are very interesting. And so in this last episode, or I guess episode and a half, where we've been exploring Ophelia and like, you know, her suicide, which, you know, up until the very, very end of the last episode, we had no idea like why exactly it happened, but now we know. And so um you know,
So
it's crazy. It's crazy to think
yeah,
about. Hmm.
I feel like something that's really cool that they do here
Hmm.
is that they kind of equivocate the word objective for an AI to the word principle for a human.
Okay.
Um, in the sense that like an AI has an objective, but the AIs in
Yes.
the show kind of elaborate on the objective in ways to suit like, okay, I like taking care of people, so I will like do this, even though it's not inherently what I'm supposed to do, because in a
Sure.
way that kind of takes care of people, just like how Vivi is like, I want everybody to smile, so I need everybody to live so they can smile.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
so I feel like they're making this equivocation between like the objective and like principles that people hold, which I
Yeah.
think is really cool.
They
And they're doing
definitely,
it also very well.
for sure. I mean, they definitely, that when I say they, I mean the AIs. The AIs
Mhm.
bend the meaning of their mission significantly. And so it's kind of interesting in a way because like, you know, the the way that we think about AIs today, um,
Mhm. You can keep
there's
talking. Just give me one moment, okay?
sure.
I can still hear you.
Okay, yeah, but the AIs today, as we know them, they're smart, but they're usually only smart enough to do one thing really, really good. And so the AIs that we see in the show are what you could actually describe as like a smart AI in the sense that it is able to think for itself, which is something that is a technology we're kind of sort of heading towards in our current age, because there's a lot of talk about the evolution of machine learning, and machine learning in and neural networks are kind of sort of what a smart AI would be composed of, because machine learning, it's kind of in the name. The AI gets a bunch of data and it's able to create new things from that data set. So one of the ways that machine learning is used these days would be, for example, in like recommendation algorithms. So like you go on Netflix and you watch movies, A, B, and C, and so the machine learning AI understands your taste in movies based off of that, and then it recommends you movie D. So that's the way that artificial intelligence is becoming smarter these days. But if we were to like condense that down and then take it to the next level, that would be the AI that we see in Vivi. And it's very interesting to think about the progression of technology and how scary it can be for AIs to get to the point where they can think for themselves, because then that is exactly the thing that they brought up surrounding the suicide of Ophelia, because like then they started talking about like, well, if she killed herself because of Antonio, then that, how is that not love? How is that not like having a soul? How is that not feelings, emotions, etc., the things that make humans human, right? So and then it starts to blur the line between robots and humans, and you're just like, that's kind of scary in a way.
Just like off the shoot, do you fall like on in a world where AI exists, humans and robots are the same, or like where would you fall in that? Like, do you think like it's possible to create an AI, or if an AI exists, like does it mean humans are also just very complicated machines, or
Well, humans are very complicated machines in a sense. Um, so, well, I'm just my gut feeling is that I wouldn't put robots to be at, or AI to be at the same level as humans. But when we start talking about how AIs in these shows and futuristic environments, how they can think for themselves and have emotion and do everything that a human can do, right? It makes me wonder whether or not like I would think differently if it was my reality, right? So I think it's just kind of like a very hard pill to swallow right now, because it doesn't exist. But
we're
I think,
very far from anything similar to this.
yeah, we're hundreds. I don't know about hundreds, but we're probably many decades from having something like this advanced. But when it happens, which it probably, I mean, like I wouldn't be surprised if like somehow humans evolve their technology to the point where we can have something like this, then like I'm open to accepting, just a super advanced AI to be on the same level as a human. It would be take a while for me to like
I
get
get what
there.
you mean.
Yeah, I think I think it's just really hard for me to see that happening right now.
Yeah, I feel like generally it's very interesting just to like think about, and like I like how Vivi is like bringing these subjects up. They
Sure.
they kind of talk about them. They bring enough points about them so
Hmm.
people can think about them like separate from the show, which is nice.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
and everything else about the show also works. Like the action is great. The voice acting, in my opinion,
Hmm.
is really great.
It's good.
I,
Yeah.
I really love Matsumoto, especially.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah, he's good.
and yeah, and the by the way, just talking numbers. Now, 2 months later, um,
How much did it grow?
Vivi quadrupled.
Nice,
the people who
nice.
watched it, and it
Yeah,
climbed to almost top 100 uh popular shows. So
that's pretty good.
I actually thought I thought this will be Odd Taxi, and I figured Vivi would be second to it,
Yeah.
but it ended up being even more popular.
You know,
Uh,
I can see why people like maybe don't like Odd Taxi that much because it's very real. Like it just feels really real. Like,
yeah,
you know, like it just feels like the
I get
characters
that.
are like if you replace all the characters in Odd Taxi with humans instead of animals, then
That would have been really dark.
it would be really like, yeah, it'd be really dark, you know. So I think, you know, I think that that puts some people off.
I think also like by now, um, since like a lot of shows where you have like animals instead of humans,
Hmm.
like they're usually falling into two types of show. Like in like just like comedies that are like just being kind of silly, like a
Yeah.
Gretzko or like the I
Mm.
forgot how it's called, the zoo one.
Yeah, I know what you're talking
With
about.
like the wonky animation.
I know
Um,
the zoo one you're talking about. Yeah.
or it's shows like Beastars.
Jakarta Park, something like that.
Yeah, I can't remember the name, but it's something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Or it's shows like Beastars and other shows which people like from the animation like
Yeah.
say are just very sexual, so like they take it as like fairy bait type of shows. So it's
Sure.
like when it's like this or the other, and people look at Odd Taxi very much looks like the former, where it's kind of like not very serious show that's like probably a
Uh,
4 minute whatever. So they just don't bother checking it out, I think.
yeah.
Um,
Agreed.
I feel like anybody who would check like Odd Taxi for one episode would be somewhat interested.
I think so.
Like from the anime community,
I
at least.
I think in general you'd be correct about that. I do know at least one person who prefers not to have any like realism in their or parallels to like, you know, very real world problems,
Yeah, that's fine.
which, you know, like just all about your preference, right? But yeah.
That's interesting though, because I feel like everything somewhat draws like from reality
Hmm.
in a sense.
I
But
yeah, I know what you mean.
but yeah, I don't know.
Hmm.
That's pretty
So
interesting.
yeah. So Vivi definitely going in a very interesting direction. That plot twist at the end of this latest episode was insane. And so, you know, I don't know what the heck's gonna happen anymore.
I'm eagerly waiting for tonight or like my tonight.
Hmm.
And yeah, what are the other shows that you're covering?
I watched 2 episodes of Sentoi Hakken Shimas, which you have mentioned a few times. What, in your opinion, was the better Konosuba?
Yes.
I think that I am enjoying it. I didn't catch up. I just watched 2 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
So there are funny parts for it for me,
Mm-hmm.
but I think that I laugh more with Konosuba. I don't know yet if I can say whether or not I feel like it's better or worse or the same as Konosuba's
I'm like a
comedy.
minority opinion as far as this comes. Like everybody else that
Hmm.
I asked who watched both
Hmm.
prefers Konosuba.
I think
Thing
that
is, Konosuba didn't have enough premise for me to enjoy it.
sure, I can understand that because, you know, so in Konosuba, they're very loosely trying to eventually defeat some demon king, but they make such slow progress towards that it feels like they're just, you know, messing around on a daily basis instead of actually making progress
Hmm.
towards defeating the demon king. And the reason why they need to do that in the first place is so that Aqua can go back to her, you know, god realm or
Yeah,
whatever.
God State.
Yeah. Well, anyways, in this show, it's I think that this show is actually like kind of wackier than Konosuba. And I don't
Yeah.
know, you know, I think I'm fine with that. I just need to watch more of it to have like a really solid opinion. But you know, I liked what I saw so far. There were some funny parts to me. Like I don't know, like if I had to do like a straight comparison, like obviously, you know, people have different opinions on what's what kind of comedy is good and not good. So
Hmm.
yeah, I liked it. Is the bottom line.
Okay. Yeah. I personally like it more than Konosuba, mostly because of
Mm-hmm.
how the premise plays into the show itself, and
Yeah.
kind of like how the situations are derived from it.
Mm-hmm.
Which is just like more my type of thing, I think,
For sure.
in general. Like I enjoy nonsense and like slice of life, but it's just like a very hit or miss type of thing for me. Because like
Yeah.
Nichijou can be amazing, but it's because like I really like how the characters work there.
Yeah.
And like then like other shows don't really work for me.
For sure.
But it's fine. Did you try Tokyo Revengers, by the way?
I haven't tried it yet, but it's been on my list of things to try. So I'll be able to talk about it next time. I think.
So the only thing I will say is
Mm-hmm.
that it started up pretty slow and pretty like I wasn't super on board. But people kept saying like it gets
Yeah.
better. The manga also picks up later,
Mm-hmm.
and I think they're right. I think they're right.
Okay.
There are some silly parts to it in my opinion, like a few like points. But putting them aside and just enjoying the show is very viable.
Okay.
And the ride is right now pretty nice. Like I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, I'll check it out for sure.
Okay, what else you got?
I want to talk about Shadow's House. So I think that you tried one episode, right?
I tried 3 episodes
You tried
actually.
you tried 3 episodes. So I watched all five, six, or whatever that are out. I thought that it was interesting from the first episode actually because I just had a lot of questions about like the people in this mansion, I guess, because the entire story revolves around this mansion where there's this hierarchy of I guess power in amongst the nobles, which
Hmm.
all of the nobles are, I guess, are completely like their bodies are made up of soot, and so it is the job of all of the caretakers in the mansion to basically clean soot all day. And at first I was like that it felt kind of dumb that was their job, and because but there were some interesting parts about it to me because the way that they talk about the servants, they call them living dolls, and that in and of itself is kind of like an interesting title because the way that they describe the living dolls, it's like they weren't born normally, like they were somehow, you know,
Made for
made.
yeah, 'cause they're like in their image,
Yeah, yeah.
right?
So that was interesting to me because every single living doll, it has free thought. Like they're not like robots, right? They're not puppets. Yeah, so they're just created to mimic their masters, which I thought was kind of interesting in and of itself, considering that their masters don't have an actual face, like they're just completely black, and so um, there's some interesting things there. I thought. Oh, so the other thing is that I was initially kind of like bored, I guess, by the fact that they just had to clean all day, but then they introduced like the real reason why they have to clean all day is because if they don't clean up all this like soot and crap that gets scattered throughout the mansion as the nobles walk through it, what happens is monsters spawn out of the suit. And so it's the servants' jobs to go and like deal with that, and they even have like special equipment for fighting these monsters, and it was interesting to see that. And then in the last 2 episodes, which you haven't seen yet, they build up to debuting all of the new nobles. And so this is also kind of interesting in a way because apparently, like if a noble doesn't make the cut, they're disposed of. And I thought that was kind of odd because I don't know where the heck like new boys and girls of the noble class come from. You know, like how, I don't know if they just like make kids the normal way, like you know what I mean. It's just kind of interesting because like all of the high ranking nobles have some kind of a power. Like that's been established by I think episode 4, where Kate,
Okay.
which is the main girl, she has the ability to control her suit through like a telekinesis. And then one of the other characters, I can't remember which one, I think his name is John. Yeah, John has the ability to accumulate his suit in such big quantities that he makes it like explode. And so all of the high ranking nobles also have some kind of a power with their suit. And so that's kind of interesting too. Because now in episode 6, I think is the last one, as part of their debut process to see whether or not the nobles even make the cut, they have to go through this labyrinth where the living dolls have to find their masters, and the masters have to find their living dolls, and it's just they're battling each other in a way, while at the same time being observed by a lot of high-ranking nobles. So I feel like there's a lot of different potential plot lines that are out there. I don't know how they're gonna all come together, and so I've been having a good time watching it.
Okay. Like a major question I have. I watched the free first episode.
Yeah, yeah,
Like a lot of the things you're describing are things I was like maybe thinking through the way like that could be interesting, but it
yeah.
seems like nothing that was interesting was being addressed in the actual episodes.
Hmm.
Like they set up all these questions, but they're not hinting at answers. There's no behavior that really suggests something like beyond it, or that
Yeah.
they're going to explore it as well. So the question I have, like I really want to be
Hmm.
sold on like on this show because like the premise is super interesting to me,
Yeah,
but
fascinating premise. Hmm.
but it seemed like if nothing was going to be explored, which is kind of like how it felt for the first 3 episodes, then I didn't really want to follow in it
I
because it
see.
seemed like the episodes were, as I told you, like for me they were really slow. Almost nothing was happening. Like,
Okay.
correct me if
Yeah.
I'm wrong. For the first 3 episodes, like it's mostly like they're like in her room, she's cleaning, they're doing like her routine thing. They kind of talk a bit about like the accumulation of suit and how like the emotional state of them affects her.
Hmm.
Uh, and we saw a bit of like the dolls in the third episode.
Yeah.
And we saw one more noble, I think, by them.
Yes.
But it felt like nothing was really happening,
Hmm.
which really bothered me. And like it felt as well like they're not really exploring like a lot of the ideas of like the doll people. Like the question of like what are these doll people felt like a question they're not going to answer at all, or like I'm just wondering if that changes because if it does, again, like I'm very interested in this being good. I was just not interested at all in the first 3 episodes, so I couldn't continue watching.
Sure. You know what? I don't think that they're ever gonna get to the question. Oh, maybe not ever, but in this season, I don't think that they're gonna get to the question of what these people are. I think that that's like something deeper it's probably gonna be another season or something if they ever get to it. Um, but yeah, those first 3 episodes are a little slow on the plot moving forward because what the plot is is centered around Kate making it through this debut, because if she doesn't make it through the debut, they haven't said what happens, but it's kind of implied that she gets like exiled or something. And the
Okay.
reason, and so we also don't know why she needs to make it through the debut, but she has some kind of objective that completely relies on her getting through the debut. And also, um, everything in this mansion is dependent upon your social status, like your power in the hierarchy. And they have a whole bunch of different like titles. Like all of the high-ranking shadows live in a completely different section of the house, and we haven't even been over there yet. So yeah, I think that like as far as the plot is concerned, the direction that they're going in is getting Kate past this debut, and then finding out what exactly it is that she's trying to accomplish on the other side of the house, and then mixing in a bunch of different like fights with the suit monsters, and also probably fights with the other like shadows, and along that entire way, also getting Kate's living doll. Her name is Miliko or something.
Milico.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also her, it just learning to how to be a good living doll, whatever that really means, because we actually don't really have like a very solid understanding. This is the entire reason why the debut was so important, because it's supposed to showcase what it means to be a good living doll, and we don't actually really firmly understand what that is. So yeah, I mean, like, I think that's interesting. I mean, I think I can also see where you're coming from, Poser, when you're like saying that nothing really happened in the first 3 episodes. I totally like feel that kind of the same way. Like the thing is that, like, when I look at the first 3 episodes, the way that I frame it in my head is that, okay, they introduced shadows, they introduced the servants, the living dolls, they introduced powers, they like, and I'm thinking that, okay, they're just giving us different parts of the world in small chunks, and then they're gonna bring it all together and something big is gonna happen. Like, that's how I'm kind of seeing it. But I mean,
Okay.
I
What do you think about the two
yeah,
main characters,
um
Aiden and Milico?
Kate and Miliko, right?
Especially Milico, but
I feel like Miliko right now is not very bright. She's not very she's not like, I don't know she's not very competent, I guess, right? Like, um she messes up a lot, but it's okay, because somehow when she messes up, it doesn't come back to bite her in the butt too badly. And so she does learn things quickly, and then I think that one of the good points about her character is that she's trying very hard to learn all the things that she doesn't know. So, and I think that it's, there's probably some plot armor going on here where they've got to make it past this debut one way or another. And from that point onwards, Emilico is probably going to be a very strong main character in addition to Kate. But definitely in the first couple episodes, she's a very weak character.
okay. Like because she was introduced as a doll, I assumed that she would also be like able to do her job.
She kind of sucks at doing her job.
I'm like, the thing that kind of weirded me is that it seems like all the other dolls are like competent, like at a base
Yeah.
level,
Yeah,
right?
I agree.
At least everyone they showed by then. So she's definitely different.
She's very
But
different from the others.
but that difference, like, so it was like a technical difference, but it was hard for me to kind of see more from that, like, kind of affecting her character. It was most like she's fucking up, but like her character's like try, like, I'm gonna keep trying type of character, which is like fine, but
Yeah.
there wasn't any like interesting or like meaningful interaction with it. In the again, only the first 3 episodes. I didn't see beyond that. That I saw.
Yeah.
Which kind of again made me kind of lose interest in her as a character, and Kate was just really hard for me to kind of get as a character by then, especially because you don't get a face, which is of course very dehumanizing.
Sure.
Yeah. What do you think about Kate
I
or Milico?
Yeah, I think I agree with you. And Kate and Miliko are actually not as interesting as the other pairs that have been introduced, but I think that because Miliko is quick at learning things, and also very different from the other living dolls, because the the thing is that, from what we understand, and this is in the last 2 episodes you haven't seen, what we understand is that the living dolls are really only supposed to care about their masters, and that's it. Like, they are not supposed to have any original thoughts at all outside of caring for their masters. But Emilico is obviously not this kind of person, right? And the thing is, and this goes back to what I was saying earlier about, like, we don't know where the heck the living dolls even come from. right? Because somehow they have free thought. They're not like mindless. So, um, so because she's so different, and also because Kate is allowing her to be that different, then it's kind of, I find it interesting to see where the two of them are going to go together, because this is kind of sort of taboo in their social structure that they've got going on inside of this house, because everybody that is high ranking is on this, seems to be on the same page about how their living doll is not supposed to care about much other than their masters, right? But a lot of these pre-debut pairs, shadow living doll pairs, seem to be kind of quirky. And so yeah, but like I agree, like the bottom line is that I agree that Kate and Emilico were not very good, not very interesting characters in the first 3 episodes, and I think that they're more interesting now, especially because now that we have an understanding of Kate, you know, being able to control her suit, and she has some kind of a power and all this stuff, and that's, it makes her more interesting. But I mean, like I think I need more episodes to really like be on board with these two characters, really.
Okay. Well, I'll eagerly await
Yeah.
any meaningful progression that you can rely to me. Um,
Yeah.
again, like I feel like the premise is super cool, but
Yeah.
if I end up watching this and see they're not exploring the things that are interesting to me, I'll just feel like so disappointed and so like sad,
I
basically.
think I think that they'll get to it. It's just going to take a long time, and I think it's going to feel slow to a lot of people. Um, and honestly, like I don't know why I don't find it slow myself. Because I feel like this is the kind of show that a couple years ago I probably wouldn't have watched because of all the things that you're saying.
Hmm.
So I don't know why I don't find it slow, but I mean, objectively, it does seem like kind of a slow show.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was Shadow House.
So yeah, that was Shadow House. Probably worth checking out at least one episode if anybody, you know, thinks that the premise sounds interesting. But I want to talk about Megalobox.
Yeah, Megalobox.
Megalobox is great. A modern classic, says Slayer, and I agree with him
Oh,
because
actually,
yeah,
I think so. I think Megalobox will grow to be one of our modern
a
classics.
modern
Uh,
classic.
yeah,
Yeah,
I think it has what it takes.
it has what it. Yeah, I think it's very. I mean, the first season was so strong. It's hard to, you know, not compare season 2 to season 1. But there's some very cool things that are happening in season 2. Um, Last time I didn't get to talk much about it because I had skipped one. I had missed one episode. But now I'm fully caught up on Megalobox season 2. So um, I I guess the last arc where Chief was fighting to reclaim the land that they were living on by winning the prize money, right? That's
Hmm.
that's what we didn't get to talk about last time because I wasn't caught up yet, but now I am. So I just want to, I just have a quick comment on that arc closing. I thought it was cool that the kid who was a part of the gang, like he left the gang. He was like, you know, I'm done with you guys. Like, you know, I'm turning over a new leaf, and it seemed like, you know, he'd come around to this idea of, you know, just like owning up to his heritage. That was cool because I think that that was part of what Chief was doing. Like that's why he sacrificed. Oh, yeah, well, I mean, like I have something to say about, you know, Chief's death, but I think that the sacrifices that he was making to be in this tournament and fight was partially so that he could make an impression on the kids and be like, you know, this is worth fighting for. Um, so that was cool.
Yeah,
Um,
I also liked specifically in like the gang dissolve scene.
yeah,
I liked how the kids kind of like we got like a very real take from one of the kids there, kind of like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, you go about your way and be cool, kind of like showing what was their affiliation to that like gang action, and like how that
Yeah.
was like very pure pressure type of experience,
Yeah.
which is like something that's very real. Is like we
For
see
sure.
that a lot,
Yeah.
which is like nice to see.
I think yeah, I did feel real because I think a lot of like real world gangs are peer pressure and like people growing up in that environment where they're surrounded by gangs and they're basically like born into the gang. That's what mafia is, you know.
Hmm.
So so that was interesting to see. But then, I mean, like the comment that I have about Chief's death is that first of all, it was kind of I was unprepared for it. I thought it. I kind of feel like that Chief died just so that Joe would have motivation to go back to his city and set everything straight. That's my feeling.
You don't think he had like enough motivation, as it were,
Is-
before?
Yeah, I do. I think that he was gonna go anyways, but
Yeah.
I think that they made Chief die to like really drive the nail into the coffin, so to speak, and just like light a fire under Joe's ass and get him to go back home. So I don't know. I kind of felt like Chief's death was really cheap. That's just my opinion. Like I don't know.
Interesting.
How did you
I
how did you feel about it?
the way I saw it was more like we didn't get like any retaliation
Mm-hmm.
from like the how do you call them, like the evil whitey there. I don't know
Uh-huh.
how to call him. There was like
Uh-huh.
this mob dude who was trying to
Ah,
take over their.
yeah. His name is does it even matter? Well, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, so doesn't matter what his name is,
Yeah.
but he was obviously trying to take over their place like very like roughly.
Mm-hmm.
Like it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't trying to play nice.
Yeah.
And I felt like the reason they killed Chief didn't have anything to do with Joe, because Joe was like going back anyway. Like
I
I
think he
was kind of
was.
like, okay, he needs to clean up his act. He wants to help Chief, and once he's done with that, he's ready to go back. That felt like Joe's like side of things.
Okay.
But from Chief like plotline, it felt pretty like it didn't feel resoluted if they left it without any type of retaliation from that guy, because he doesn't play nice. We It was like established he's willing to like hurt the people, like he like they were pushing for like the kids to light a fire there. They stopped like the water thing to that could have killed many people, like
Yeah.
potentially,
Yeah. Yeah.
like they were willing to do all of that. I feel like Chief definitely hurt his ego in a sense there,
Okay.
as somebody who kind of overcome like his power and money, um, and that kind of like retaliation felt, again, it just feels like something that would happen to me. Like and since like the reason I didn't think about it was because it felt like it didn't affect the other storyline. Like the other storyline was going that way anyway.
I think it
It just
was.
served to be more like it does serve Joe to be more motivated in a sense,
Yeah.
and obviously it kind of like sparks a fire there.
Yeah.
But it did feel like a natural occurrence to me, since
Okay.
yeah, it felt like you wouldn't take it like sitting down. Like it's this thing that usually doesn't happen in anime again, as far as I like see it.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time, once like the evil guys are beaten, then they're like sulking and they sit quietly and they move along, or they go to prison or whatever they do with
Mm-hmm.
them,
Mm-hmm.
and we don't really hear about them too much. But in the real world, even if he was imprisoned, even if like, which he wasn't, but
Yeah.
like even if like any if he was caught, like usually there's always like retaliation from them. They
Yeah.
usually don't take it sitting down. Um, and again, that felt like a nuance of realism to me, actually.
Okay.
So I was surprised that he died, but
Yeah.
it
Same.
did make sense to me.
Okay. Yeah. Um. I can see that. Like, I'm not like too bothered by it. Um, Yeah, I just I don't know. I didn't think that he needed to die. That's all. But I don't really have any other comments on it, I guess. But I can see it both ways, you know. I just felt, yeah, I just felt kind of strongly about it at first. Maybe now not so much. Because like you said, this is I'm agreeing with you on like the part where Joe is gonna go do his thing anyway. Was gonna go do his thing anyways, but yeah. Okay, what does Slayer say? I had no clue why he poofed, but yeah, it felt appropriate. I think, yeah, I think I can agree that
Okay.
you
Um,
know,
and we got to see like in the last two episodes, we got to see like a more flashed out uh version of what happened,
yeah,
exactly why Joe left.
yeah.
Um, like how did things turn out like between like
Mm-hmm.
Joe, Nanbu, and Sachio?
Sachio.
Um, how do you feel about like the like now? Because before we said it felt kind of off the fact that they like broke apart, or why did they say that he killed Nanbu? How do you feel about it now when they kind of like touched upon it a bit more and kind of elaborated?
So, um, I think that Joe, um, he had somehow tricked himself into believing that if he won that tournament, um, and that somehow it was gonna save Nambu.
Yeah,
You know, because the doctors were, because they actually talked about how the doctors had said that it doesn't matter what you do, even if we give Nambu that surgery, he's probably only gonna live another month or two. Like he's just not gonna survive for
he's
very long.
probably gone. Yeah,
He's gone no matter what, right? But I really think that Joe somehow got it in his head that winning that tournament was gonna save Nambu, and it just was never gonna happen that way. So not only did he lose the tournament, but then also the thing that he really beat himself up about afterwards was that he wasn't there by Nambu's side when he was dying, right? And so he felt so ashamed at that point that he couldn't face the guy anymore, and that's why he left. Well, I mean, on top of Sachio telling him to get out of there. But
I feel like what you're saying is basically that since he was
yeah,
so ashamed of himself, he couldn't face Sachio,
he
and when
could
he was told to go out, he couldn't
he
like tell him no, I want to stay, or
yeah
like he didn't feel like it was his
he
right anymore.
he was already broken at that point in time, you know, and so, you know, it just makes sense that he decided to
Mhm.
leave. And then all of the stuff that we saw after that with his addiction to the drugs that he was taking and his alcoholism, it just all makes sense. So, you know, I'm glad that they showed all that stuff, and now he's in his redemption arc, right, where he got clean, and he was like rebuilding the gym and all whatever stuff that he's, you know, trying to do now to reclaim his honor in a way, or his place in that city, which is funny because he doesn't technically like, I don't even know if you could say he belongs there, because like they're immigrants or something, like they're not citizens, you know. So
Yeah, but I feel like he's more than reclaiming his place. I feel like he's trying to kind of rebuild his connections
he wants to
to
rebuild
them.
his connections. That's a better way to put it. He wants to rebuild his connections.
And like the space that he's trying to make is like it's the Team Nowhere gym. Like
Hmm.
that's what he wants like to have back. Like
Yeah,
it's more the people because like Team Nowhere is like more about the people than the place.
I think so. But you know, that place is one that he made with Nambu, like before any of the other kids were even involved. So I think that he feels some shred of ownership over that,
Okay.
because one of the things that he said, um when he was in the last arc with Chief, was that he didn't have
Hmm.
anywhere to go back to. But that's actually not true, right? Like he always had that um you know, what, Team Nowhere or whatever,
Hmm.
to go back to, because he owned that even before Nambu showed up. So,
Um, okay.
or at the very least that they built it together or something. But my point is that, like, you know, he had something, right? So he was just trying to, yeah, he's facing his fears, as Slayer points out.
Yeah, and that was great. There we got to see a bit of him uh doing some sparring, which was like the bits of good animation coming back at us
Oh
was
heck
really
yeah,
great.
for
I
sure.
really enjoyed that.
Same.
Seeing Yuri again was nice, and I like how Yuri is very much himself. Like he's not like serving any plot or anything. He's just casually being himself, and
Yeah, for sure.
um, yeah, which was great to see. And now we're in the we got a new company trying to establish new technology with Shirato, right?
Yes, yeah.
Um,
Because they're gonna do the fight with Mac, and Mac has some kind of like brain chip or something like that that's allowing
mhm.
him to move. So that's cool.
um, and it's kind of again talking about like advancements in technology, which is nice. The
Mm-hmm.
brother, which I can't remember his name for the life of me,
Yeah,
showed up at the end there, which was interesting. Like he ended up being like a nice character, which kind of like redeemed itself
yeah,
in the end. So I mean, his involvement is very much interesting here.
yeah.
Like because they probably weren't talking too much ever since,
I don't think they were,
because they weren't
because
on good terms.
yeah, they weren't on good terms, and also his sister had pulled out of Megalobox.
Yeah, again.
Yeah. Well, I mean, she's
Um,
technically back in Megalobox now, but I mean, you know,
yeah, but she's not like funding the Megalobox like tournament anymore.
right.
She's just like investing in somebody who is participating in order to demonstrate technology, yada yada yada.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like very like indirect
Yeah.
involvement.
So Slayer asks, how do we think this season is gonna end?
A good question.
You know, the thing is that,
Um,
like, when we were going into this arc, the current one,
mhm.
with Sachio and the rest of the kids, I had actually been under the impression that they were gonna maybe switch to building up Sachio as a megaloboxer, but
I thought
I
the
don't,
same thing
I don't
because
think
it
that
was
they're gonna do
foreshadowed
that.
in the first season.
Exactly, it was foreshadowed, and now I don't think that they're gonna do that anymore. I have actually, I'm thinking now that he's sparring with that one dude, that they're gonna actually go in the direction of Joe building himself back up to his former glory and then getting in the ring again.
And doing that actual fight, like in his real form,
Yeah.
because he fought back then. He fought after he realized Nanbu is dead, and
Mm-hmm.
like he was completely broken in the ring, and that's why he lost.
Yeah.
And we don't know if he would have lost otherwise.
I think.
Basically, which is the same like gripe that Mac has. Um,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because he was very disappointed that he didn't get to fight the real Joe.
Yeah, yeah. So not Mac. The dude's name is Lou, I
Oh,
think.
oh, sorry. Did I mixed him up? Maybe the
Yeah.
Mac is the AI dude.
Mac is the AI dude, or the brain chip dude, whatever you want to
The
call
yeah.
it. But yeah, so Lou is the current world champion,
Okay,
and
yeah.
um, so but it's exactly what you're saying. Like, he knows that Joe was not at his peak level when he fought him the last time, and so that's why he wants Joe to get back to where he used to be.
Mm,
And
well,
I think that they're just gonna make the rest of the season about, you know, that, like, Joe. There's two
yeah.
major
It seems to be that way right now.
right, exactly. There's two major things that are probably going to happen. One is that Joe has to patch his relationship with all the kids, because half of the kids are happy that he's back and half of the kids are not happy that he's back. So he has some work to do there to have everybody accept him again. And I don't know what the heck he's supposed to do with Sachio, because Sachio is the biggest hater right now that Joe's got.
So
So
I'm actually I think Sachio is winnable because Sachio hates him because he's stubborn, and
Sure,
not because Sachio knows that he done some wrong things as well, and he was told
sure.
like you told him to go away,
Yeah,
and he knows that.
that's true.
There's actually another character, which I don't remember her name, which I thought would be the hardest one to win over.
One of the girls.
Um, yeah,
Yeah,
I forget her name.
Oicho. Hold on,
Oicho?
let me look at here. It's Oicho, right? That's one of the girls that was in the group. Yeah,
Yeah, Oicho.
Sachio winnable.
So,
Yes.
Sachio winnable. Yeah,
Yeah,
I think Sachio is winnable
I
in a sense because I feel like the connection is like still strong. Like the connection was very strong,
yeah
and stronger than
Oicho.
with the other kids at least.
Yeah, so Oicho is a girl, a boy. Oh yeah, yeah. Oicho is a girl.
Yeah. Wait, they're saying that right in the.
No, yeah, she's a girl for sure.
Okay, yeah.
Hmm.
Um.
But I also thought she was
So
a
it
boy when she
felt
was a
like
kid.
it felt
So I
like she
mean, like,
had more of a like personal disappointment from
hmm,
him. That
I see.
because like Sachio is angry with him because of the thing with Nanbu, but he generally understands him. Then he's like stubborn, and that's why he's still angry. But Oicho expected Joe to do better, which is kind of like what was established, I think, like 2 or 3 episodes ago.
Yeah, that's true.
He expected him to stay anyway, even if he fucked up. She was the one
Um,
that wanted to stay with him in the ring, and was
right.
kind of like,
I was about to say that. Yeah, she was at the ring during the last fight.
so yeah, like it felt to me like she would be the last character that he'd be able to like win over or like make amends to. But yeah, I don't
I
know.
mean, it's
Hopefully,
possible.
it's like
So
working out.
the thing is that I don't think that Oicho is that major of a character,
Yeah,
because the show has focused so much on Sachio being the one that is like hard to win over, that I think that, he's probably gonna come back again and again until finally he likes Joe again or whatever, or at least accepts that Joe is there to stay. So that's
yeah.
okay.
Like the only reason I'm bringing up Oicho is because they did like feel the need to bring up her like role in that like event
Yeah,
where she decided to stay with him. Because otherwise, I feel like they wouldn't have mentioned it.
that's
So I
true.
feel like it would play into something. But yeah, we don't
Yeah,
know.
that's
We'll
true.
see soon.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I hadn't actually really thought about that too deeply, but I think they have a good point. So she's probably gonna come back again. Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
I mean,
All in all, Megalobox, amazing.
so here's the thing though. Like, I think, yeah, I do think that the show is great. But I was hoping that they were gonna make it about Sachio, like, building up his megaloboxing
I swear, I
abilities.
was so convinced this is gonna
Yeah,
happen.
I wanted it to happen so bad, and then they just, it's a different relationship
The
juggling.
thing is, like, I feel like in the first season we see first of all we see Sachio back when they meet him.
Hmm.
He's trying to fight off the owner who was kind of cheating them, and he's trying to
Yes.
pick up the gear, and
Yeah.
he can't use it, and Joe kind of like, let me show you how you do it, whole vibe. And later he shows interest in training, but he never does it too seriously, and he just like sits at the sideline.
Yeah.
But it felt like back when you told me there's another season of Megalobox and you didn't know what it was, I was thinking,
Ah.
damn, are they gonna do a season about Sachio?
Uh,
That was the first thought that I had back then.
okay.
And I came in so strong into this arc, thinking and hoping that Sachio is gonna be the character and Joe is gonna train him.
Yeah.
Um, I'm not fully lost on Sachio doing anything, but they really did set it up to be like he's not good at this. This is not
So,
like his thing.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
Uh,
I can't remember which character said it, but there was one episode where they were like, Sachio is doing this underground megaloboxing thing, but it's not his, like, he's not passionate about it. Like he's doing it, but they didn't even really understand why he was doing it. Like whatever character was talking, his mentor. Yeah, Yeah.
Wasn't
It
it
was the dude
I
in the
thought it was
repair shop.
the
The old dude in the repair shop. I think it was the dude who was saying that
Oh, okay.
like
I thought it was
Sasha's
the owner there of the underground ring who said it.
was it? Yeah, it might have been. I don't remember. Well, Slayer's saying it was his mentor, but
Okay.
yeah, I mean I'll take his word on it because I don't remember exactly who said
Yeah,
it.
same.
But yeah, the point is that like we can agree that Sashio just isn't really cut out for megaloboxing. So I think that I guess it's gonna be back on Joe, which is cool. I mean, I do love Joe being in the ring. I mean, it's fun. So we'll see.
Hopefully we get more good action. Something I just noticed,
Mm-hmm.
I opened apparently the second season is doing better,
Then the
like
first one,
quite a bit from the first one, which surprised me.
yeah,
Uh
because like I don't know,
especially considering it's not fully out yet.
yeah,
Um,
and
but
also like
we'll see.
I think a lot of people slept on Megalobox season one. So you
I'm
know,
telling you, people were snoozing back when it came out.
they were, man. Me, I was sneezing on it.
Okay, a lot of people were snoozing.
Yeah, I'm like looking through the list. I don't think I have any other shows to talk about.
Okay, so Revengers, he said he may check it out for next time.
Yeah, probably.
Machiro no Oto, every episode that comes out uh,
All
makes
right.
me think more that the first episode was like a fluke or
Mm-hmm.
just like a one-off good feel. I feel
Right.
like the first episode, if you just watch it, it's kind of nice by itself. You don't have to
Mm-hmm.
continue watching. The rest kind of fell off for me, which is kind of sad because I was expecting this to be a bit better or
Mm.
like more like the first episode. It's kind of a shame. Um, have you watched Joran at all?
No, I
Um,
haven't.
good. I
Good.
was actually hyped for this. Yeah, you shouldn't watch it. I don't think you should.
You don't
This
think I
show is
should?
amazing.
Hold
I
on.
don't
What?
think you should watch it.
Oh, why?
Dorn, the Princess of Snow and Blood, actually has some insane original animation that drew me in. That's like what if you look at a trailer teaser,
Yeah, I'm trying to
I
look at the
bet they
trailer right
show
now.
like something pretty impressive.
Uh-huh.
Um, like the animation is really good, and
Yeah.
I was like, it seems like people put a lot of thought into this, and it's an original show, which usually draws me in. Um, but this was, I don't know, it felt so empty, which was really a
Um,
shame.
the
Uh,
animation's
there was just
pretty.
the animation is amazing,
Yeah.
it really is, but it was just not enough. Like the things, like the premise is cool, the animation is cool, the characters are like theoretically I like them, but like the execution just doesn't work. Something about this show just doesn't click to me, and it seems like it doesn't click for a lot of people.
Okay. You
This
know,
something felt just off to me, and I love everything about this show, like theoretically, but just like
I'll
I just
try
couldn't.
I'll try one episode just because it looks very pretty. Um,
Yeah, it does.
but
I watched 4 episodes of this, but I just couldn't continue.
I mean, I suspect that I'll probably end up if you're dropping it, I'll probably drop it as well. Just because you know, like I really rely on a show having a very strong story to carry me through to the end. This is actually something
Hmm.
that I discussed with someone else on a different stream when we were having an anime discussion, and one of the things that the streamer was bringing up in the discussion was that they choose a lot of their shows based on the art style, which is, you know, valid, I suppose. But my point is that the point that I made then was that no matter how beautiful a show is, if the story sucks, I'm not going to watch the whole thing, right? But if a show has like you know, okay art, maybe like even like below average animation or just like a really wonky style, but the story is really great, I'm gonna watch the whole thing because that's what I'm watching. That's one of the main reasons why I'm not watching anime. I just want to have a good story, you know. So I mean, Joron could be one case of this, right? Where it's just like really beautiful, but the story just isn't there, and so
The thing is, like, it's not only that it's really beautiful, but everything else sucks. It feels like something in bringing together like the
mm-hmm,
elements of like story, character, and pacing and everything. Like the story, like by itself, seems good. Like
mm-hmm,
it's pretty original. It has like interesting like twists in the 4 episodes I saw. There's like
mm-hmm,
intricate like relationships going on. The characters are somewhat like, I mean, they're not like the most original thing you've ever seen, but they're like decent characters. They're like generally well written. There's something about like bringing it together that just didn't work. And I have no idea why, but
mm-hmm.
it seems to just not work for a lot of people. I
Sure.
will say about like choosing shows, the things that usually drive me are story or characters.
Yeah.
I can I can see sometimes myself watching things for animation or for like music and animation. That these are things that can bring me into a show and carry the show. But
Mm-hmm.
I will say that it's way easier for a story or characters to drive me to watch something than for animation. Like the examples I'm thinking about are things like either like things like Skate that happened like last season, or if you watched the free running show that was like 4 years ago.
Yeah.
um these shows, like, their story are not very good. Like the characters are not super like interesting. They're not original at all.
Mm-hmm.
But since like the animation is really like cool, since it's action and the animation is really cool, it carries, like, these scenes really carry. But other than that, I feel like animation can only do so much. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
kind of on your side for the most part.
Yeah, for sure.
Um, there was there was one show I'm
Mm-hmm.
just reminding you about, we talked about
Yeah.
last time, which was the Pretty Detective Boy Club. I don't
I've
know
been
if you intended on checking it.
I intend on checking out at least one episode, and I was thinking about doing that today, but then I didn't get around to it, so I'll probably be able to do it for next time.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
I'm just interested in your thoughts about it. I'm
Yeah.
not following it any longer. I will probably move it to dropped very
Sure.
soon. Um, okay.
Yeah.
One last. I feel like we've talked about all the shows that we talk
Yeah.
about.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Did you watch the Demon Slayer movie?
I haven't watched the Demon Slayer movie. No.
Okay. And I'm not gonna say anything.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know when I'm gonna get around to watching that at some point. I don't know. It was so good. Yeah, I mean, I've heard everybody that I've talked to has said that the Demon Slayer movie is great, and I just haven't had a chance to watch it yet. So,
I mean, you haven't talked to me yet.
well, I mean, I haven't watched it yet, so I can't talk about it with you.
Yeah,
But
I'll just wait for it.
yeah, okay. So I mean, like, I
Um,
feel like we're pretty much done.
yeah, I'm just gonna
Yeah.
say Shakunetsu no Kabaddi is a fun sports show, and people who like
Okay.
sports shows should watch it.
Yeah, sounds good. For next time, I'm gonna try to check out at least one episode of like Tokyo Avengers, the Pretty Boy Club thing, and
Yeah, I feel like
and
Tokyo Avengers would be like the priority
yeah,
check.
I'll check that out first. Okay, but yeah,
Okay,
sounds good.
that was good stuff.
Yeah, good stuff.
Yeah,
We
Slayer, we don't do outros.
we don't do outros really. We kind of just are like GGPs.
Yeah, well
But
played,
yeah,
GG.
we do an episode of the podcast once every 2 weeks, or at least we try to. And I
We're pretty
think
consistent.
I think next time we're gonna be on like episode 10, so we're not quite gonna be at the end of the season. I think it's gonna be another two
Yeah.
episodes before we're at the end of the season.
So
So
maybe we stray from doing a seasonal next time, so we get like a finale, or we'll see
so
what
yeah,
happens.
yeah, maybe we could even yeah, I don't know what we're gonna do for 2 episodes from now. Well, we'll figure it out.
It's gonna be anime. We're gonna
Yeah,
talk about anime probably.
we're gonna talk about anime for sure. All right, so
Okay, that was
that was fun. I'm ready to wrap up.
yeah.
A cosplay special. I don't know how's it going, Ash. I don't I don't know about that. I don't
Awfully
I don't
successful.
have, you know what's funny is that the only costume that I have right now on hand is like a Spider-Man one, which is pretty sick actually. It's the one from Into the Multiverse or whatever. Is it
Ooh,
Spider Into the Spider-Verse, whatever the heck it was called? I can't remember the title exactly, but it's that
Into
one.
the Spider-Verse.
The Spider-Verse, that one. I've got that costume.
Damn.
Prettiest
I
waifu.
really want a costume. Like, I don't have anything here.
Yeah. It's always hard to like figure out what to cosplay as because you gotta like take so many different things into account. But see, I kind of took the easy road with this Spider-Man thing because like he just like has a full-on like face mask that like completely covers you, but I can't see crap when I'm in that thing.
Mm.
Yeah. Well,
I don't
anyways.
know. Like, if I cosplay anything, it has to be Joe because I can rock this kind of hair. Uh,
Yeah, yo, that's actually a great idea. You're gonna have to get a six
um,
pack though. If you don't have a six pack, you can't do it.
Never mind. Different character. Thank you. Uh, there's a six pack in my fridge.
Yeah,
If that
I know.
counts.
I know, right? All right. So,
Okay.
I think we're basically about to wrap up.
Yeah.
That was fun. Lots
See
of
you later,
anime
dude.
talk. Yeah. See everybody later. Good night. Thanks for coming to hang out. And we'll be back next time.
Yeah.
Two
Catch you
weeks from
next
now.
time.
Yep. All right.
Yeah.
So,
Pressing the end now, right? Stop. Stream.
yep. Peace.